everybody. Holy cow. It's me, the ambassador, back again with another Enthusiast Roundtable. You know what? Because there's been such a big gap, I'm going to call this season 3. For those who have been following me on Instagram, you've seen that I've been creating the new studio, and today is the trial run. And so I brought in a friend and a brand new neighbor to help me dial in some of the lighting, the audio levels, just the positioning, all that stuff. So this is going to be a trial run. So thank you so much for joining us. If you see any little imperfections, just know it's human. We're trying to make it work out. And feel free to leave us a comment if there's anything that you suggest or anything like that that can make it better. But let's go ahead and introduce you to, again, my buddy who so graciously came over to help me move the table and dial things in. It is Mr. Nicholas Laschkewitch. Oh, my gosh.
Hi.
What's up, dude? Thank you so much for helping out. I really appreciate you coming in and helping me out. And you're new to Valencia area, is that right?
Yeah, I've been in Los Angeles for about 8 years now in general. I lived in Glendale, a little bit in the Valley, and I moved up here. I'm right behind Magic Mountain, so as a lifelong enthusiast, it's like an awesome place to be.
Right, yeah, it's like, so those who are in the know, there is a new neighborhood that got built on the hills above Magic Mountain, and it offers some really cool new perspectives of the park that we haven't had in a long time. And you're like, hey, man, I just got to get me a house up there.
That's exactly right. There's many rides on Tatsu, seeing that community being built over the past 5 years. And I was like, I'm curious about this back here. And timing worked out, and location was great. And I can hear Riddler's Revenge from the front porch of the house. And
of course.
Some people might say, oh, that noise is an annoyance. But it's like, oh, I love this. And it's just a faint little hum in the background from back there. It's great. It's great.
It cradles you to sleep at night. You know what I mean?
It does.
Park closes late. But, no, again, so why don't you you've actually been on the very early iterations of this podcast when it was on a different channel whose name we don't mention anymore. But you've been on, so you're familiar with the format of the show. And but for those who are maybe meeting you for the first time, tell us about you.
Yeah, so I grew up in Northern California. The Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk was my home park and still one of my favorite places in the world. Right. The Giant Dipper is my favorite roller coaster that'll probably never change. It's just it's an icon within the industry, and the park is just it's a gem. And so I moved to LA in 2018, and I started right out of college with my mechanical engineering degree, doing an internship with Walt Disney Imagineering. And I did a ride mechanical engineering internship, and I got to work on Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway and Rise of the Resistance, which,
holy cow,
yeah, right outside of college was a very crazy to think.
That's incredible.
Yeah, crazy to think I got to work on those. And then I've worked for a couple different vendors within the industry. I worked for a company called LA ProPoint, and they specialized in rigging systems and theme park equipment and all kinds of entertainment engineered devices for museums. Like we did a project for the Academy Museum of Motion Pictures. Wow. They do work for Disney and Universal, and every stadium in LA they do a lot of big work for. Mm-hmm. I worked for Universal Creative for a little while and was part of the team that helped build Super Nintendo World.
Wow. See, big projects, everybody.
So that was, being a lifelong Nintendo fan, like many people are, It was a project that I was like, I would die to be part of this. And it was hard. It was a small team that really put it together. And so we had a lot of ownership, but that meant a lot of long hours. Yeah. But getting the opportunity to meet Shigeru Miyamoto-san and, people you think that, oh, these aren't real people. They're just legends, seeing that was, meeting him was incredible, and being part of that project was amazing. And then, long story longer, I worked for a company called ERT Studios and traveled all across the country supervising theme park scenery installation. So I kind of shifted out of the engineering realm and more of the aspect of how are we going to install this stuff. And so my biggest project with them was Tiana's Bayou Adventure. Wow. Both in California and Florida.
Nice.
And so that was really, really exciting to be part of. And then most recently, I've joined the team at Meow Wolf.
So cool.
Yeah, they're an amazing group of people, and I can't talk much about it, but I am part of the upcoming Los Angeles team, and you can check out our social media for information on that. But 2026 is the year. We're opening this year at some point. So
cool. And for those who may have heard the name Meow Wolf and are trying to place it, probably the most famous one right now is the one that's in Las Vegas called Area 15 with the Omega Mart. Right. And then they've got the installation down there in New Mexico, which is supposed to be pretty cool. And then didn't they do, theme park and Six Flags related, didn't they do a re-theme of a dark ride in Denver or something?
They did, yeah. So at Elitch Gardens,
That's right, Elitch Gardens, yeah.
There is a dark ride there that was a Sally Corporation classic dark ride, and it got turned into a Meow Wolf totally themed dark ride. And it's the only time they've done a like non-location-based permanent Meow Wolf themed experience.
Mm-hmm.
And so who knows if there's chances for more of that in the future. I love the idea of exploring the Meow Wolf universe in ways that doesn't require building a massive exhibit. So who knows? You know, I don't know anything about any of that, but it would be great to see future ways to do that.
I agree. I mean, especially with the advancements in ride technology, it's even from Sally themselves, like, what a cool idea. And I'd heard that I'd never been to it, which I think I remember seeing some videos of, but it was like a Garfield ride at first, and then they kind of made it like a fever dream or something strange like that, right?
It's got an interesting, background, and Meow Wolf is, of course, very otherworldly and outlandish in a lot of the ways that they present their brand, and so a lot of opportunity there to really expand the brand and show people what Meow Wolf is, because Meow Wolf is not a household name in my opinion yet. It's not. No. It's not at that point. But expanding into major markets like Los Angeles and New York, like they're doing, is really exciting to watch. And to be part of that team now is super cool, because it's just full of the most creative people you can imagine.
Oh yeah, and and not having anything out in the East Coast as of yet. A lot of people, unless you've been to Vegas or or the one in New Mexico, which is probably even less visited by people, that they wouldn't know about it. But obviously this is not the Meow Wolf show, but it's super cool that you're working for Meow Wolf, and just goes to show that your evolution of your creativity and all that fun stuff that you bring to it. Now, there's also something very famous about you too, theme park and roller coaster related, which we're kind of dancing around. I know you like to talk about your current projects, but let's get into that.
Yeah, so I've been involved with the American Coaster Enthusiasts, ACE, as many people in the industry know, for over 15 years now. So I joined back in early 2009 with my parents and sister. We all joined as a family, and we joined for a behind-the-scenes event at the Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk originally. Yeah. And I've been a part of it ever since, and I've worn almost every hat you can imagine within the organization. I used to run the Northern California division of the club. I've ran most of their social media at one point or another. But my biggest and I would say my proudest achievements with them are the documentaries that I produce for them. So I founded their YouTube channel back in 2013.
Wow.
And I ran it by myself for about 9 years. Including all of not just the long-form documentary content that I produce, but all of the new ride opening videos, and I would go to media days, and there was no team back then. And so
insane.
Thankfully
you saw an opportunity and you're like, guys, why aren't you tapped into this?
Exactly. And one thing I started doing at that time was I started jumping into doing long form documentaries about the history of the industry. And a friend of mine, Chris Roberry, who is also well known within the ACE world, he came to me with an idea to do a series called The Lost Parks of San Francisco Bay Area. And we wanted to do this whole series about defunct parks. And we met at the end of 2012, and I had not known him yet. And he wanted to do it for his own personal blog. And I was like, well, ACE has this audience that has been growing.
Right, built-in audience already, yeah.
Exactly. ACE has been around since 1978. In 2 years, we're having our 50th anniversary.
Wow.
And so my thought was why don't we take this great idea you have and merge the series with ACE. And that same year is when we launched a YouTube channel at a national level for the American Coaster Enthusiasts. That show evolved into what became known as the Lost Parks of Northern California. And we did 6 episodes of this series over the next 2 years. And it was an amazing, amazing project.
Yeah. And what were some of the parks that were just quickly in a baseball pitch, that were a part of that?
Yeah, we covered everything from World's Fairs, like the 1915 Panama Pacific Fair in San Francisco. We covered a park in San Mateo that only lasted a year because raw sewage emptied into the ocean just south of the park. And as you can imagine, the smell was not ideal for visitors.
Yeah.
Pacific City was the name of that park. We did a park in San Jose called Luna Park, and it was part of the many Luna Parks that were...
Oh, right, that are around the world.
Exactly, and that was one of the earliest franchisees of theme parks, or I guess it was more of an amusement park at the time. But yeah. And so it was really fun to just explore and learn more about where I grew up in the Bay Area. But also we weren't just going to make it what I would call just like a clip show where you're just watching like what feels like a slideshow of photos I found on Google. We had a physical host. So Chris Roberry was the physical host of the show. We'd film on location where the parks used to be. And then we'd show people, in my opinion, what the best part of the show was, how you can still experience pieces of these parks today.
Yeah. That's cool.
In one of these parks was a park called Frontier Village in San Jose, and this was a Western-themed amusement park. And it was through the production of this documentary that I learned about a little company called Aero Development.
Right.
And some people who are listening have probably seen or heard of the Legacy of Aero Development documentary, and that really spun out. Originally, it was going to be a Lost Parks episode that we thought, we'll do a 25-minute bonus episode on this Bay Area manufacturer. And then we realized, their history is much more in-depth and deserves to be told in a much bigger scale. And so that became the first feature-length documentary I was part of.
Yeah, so there's probably been a lot of you out there who've seen that. It's a classic. And then the response to that, at least the Aero Development one, has been massive, right? Like it really brought a lot of attention, not only to ACE, but just, I think to you personally, and then opened up more doors for you, didn't it?
It really did. No, and that was something that I never truly expected. And for me, as well as the rest of the team, this has always been a passion project for us, and we were never paid for any of it. And basically, just to give folks some of the behind the scenes, is we would come up with a proposal to say, okay, we want to produce a documentary about Aero. We think it's going to cost this much, as far as we want to do this many flights, this many parks, and everything. And ACE funds the production of the documentary. But all of the time we spend actually doing any of the traveling, any of the post-production, so I do all of the editing work and a lot of the shooting as well, that's all on our own time, and it's all labor of love stuff. And, the video has seen over 1.5 million views.
Wow.
It's been a decade now. We just passed the 10th anniversary of the film, which is, I can't even believe it's been 10 years. But the Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk sponsored our world premiere. We had a chance to go show the film at Walt Disney Imagineering in the summer.
That's huge.
Yeah, and so 200 Imagineers came and sat and watched it. We did a panel discussion in front of them, and as somebody who then worked there 2 years later, it was like a dream come true situation.
Wow, and just like, kind of a progressive, working your way up and just, seeing everything happen. And that series is still available, right? I can throw the social medias in the link below, but people can still watch that documentary, and also the Lost Parks, right?
Absolutely, yeah. So the Lost Parks series is hosted on the Northern California ACE YouTube channel, so youtube.com/AceNorCal, and then @RideWithAce on YouTube for the national channel. But all of this content is available for free. We don't make any; it's not even monetized. So ACE doesn't make any money off of any of this content. It was all made as like a benefit to the public. As a nonprofit organization, one of our missions is to not only preserve roller coasters but educate people about them.
Right.
So this tied right into the mission statement of our organization, and we think that should be accessible to as many people as possible. So it's not gate locked. You don't have to be a member. It's just out there for the world.
Very, very cool. And that also opened up, the opportunity, because actually that's how you and I met, believe it or not, was actually at the West Coast Racers opening day. You were there in capacity with ACE of NorCal, or were you? I can't remember, but you were there, and we started talking while we were in line waiting for our turn to sit on the coaster. But who were you representing at that time?
Yeah, so I was there with the American Coaster Enthusiasts, and because at the time I was still running the national YouTube channel.
Oh, okay.
I was often invited, at least on a California level, just based on where I was from, was often invited to the media events for these rides. And so when I was in those capacities, especially if it wasn't within Northern California, I was representing myself as just a general ACE representative of the media team within ACE. And so and that was a cold January morning, that media day, but it was I never forget. Those days are always the best. They're so fun.
Well, it was super funny too. I don't know if I ever shared the story with you. I had shown up again because I was on a different channel again, which we will not mention, but I had gotten invited out, believe it or not, on behalf of Parks Bros. Drew, he wasn't able to make it up, but I had helped him with covering some content of the ride being built, and so he threw me a bone and was able to have me represent him for the opening. And I was also representing, believe it or not, Coaster Studios. Taylor had reached out to me and said he couldn't make it out, and so I had actually borrowed a nicer camera because I wanted to, I would just do it on my little cell phone, but I was like, no, I'm representing two companies, so I better, I better get a nicer camera. But anyway, so I show up super early because I was worried about lines and all that different stuff, and so I actually rode my bicycle Well, no, before that, I had gotten there super early, and they thought I was part of the filming crew for whatever reason. I went to the employee entrance, right? Because that's where I thought you had to go.
Sure. Yep.
And I get there, and they escorted, like they put me in a van. Like, oh, okay, here we go. Why in the world am I doing in a van?
This is funny.
Like I guess they just don't want people to walk around. Backstage.
Maybe.
I don't know. So then they dropped me off, and I'm like, okay, so where do I go for the media day? And they're like, oh, you're not part of the filming crew here? I said, no, I'm representing Parks Bros. And they're like, oh. So they put me back in the van and took me back outside.
Oh, man.
But it was early, dude. I was there early because then, they let ACE members like kind of be the ones that are filling in the seats for the filming and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I wasn't about to do that. So I just thought it was funny. So they escorted me back out, and then I had to wait in line again. But at least I was first in line. But I just thought that was super funny.
Amazing.
Yeah, I had gotten there before the breakfast had even shown up because they gave everybody breakfast.
Right.
And
it was like a 4 a.m. start or something.
Yeah,
it was so early.
It was wild. But then, so I actually am confusing my date. So actually, the Coaster Studios thing was when the coaster officially opened. That was a completely different story. I had ridden my bike there so I could beat all the traffic.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah,
that's fun.
But no, for the opening day. And so that's how we met. And then we just got to talking because I did a different show and we wanted to bring you on as a guest. So that's kind of cool that, we were able to kind of connect that way. And we had you on the show, and just a super wealth. And that's what I like about you, is like you're just a wealth of knowledge of like, just because probably out of necessity of all this research that you had to do for your different documentaries and things like that, you just had to go like, I need to get the facts correct. And you've also just recently come out with another one.
Yes.
And I say recently, but it's been like a couple of years.
Yeah, it's so at the end of 2024 we released what we would consider, I guess, the follow-up to the Legacy of Aero. And that was the Legacy of Anton Schwarzkopf. Mm-hmm. And that was another manufacturer that was very high up on our list as far as like, what do we want to tackle next? And I always saw them as like the European equivalent to the innovation that Aero brought to the American market.
100%.
And so we started that in early 2020, and then COVID delayed things as far as travel, but it gave us a lot of time to get the research down and get the scripting down. And so then in mid-2022, we started our filming for that, and that was a much bigger project than Legacy of Aero. Mainly because the fact that Anton Schwarzkopf was from Germany, and we had to go to Germany to tell the story right. We had to go to the little town of Münsterhausen in Bavaria in Germany, where he grew up, to really effectively tell that story. And I had never been to Europe, basically, before this project. I went when I was a really young kid and didn't have any memory of it.
Right.
And so getting the opportunity to travel across Europe and film a documentary about this roller coaster ride manufacturer, really, was an incredible experience. And just taking trains everywhere we wanted to go. And I got to go to so many bucket list parks I had always wanted to go to, like Europa Park and Phantasialand. And I'm so grateful for the experiences that ACE has allowed us to be part of. And obviously they believe in what we bring to the organization. They would not give us these opportunities if they thought what we did was not a great product. And so we released that at the end of 2024, and it's also available on the ACE YouTube channel. But it was another great one to be done with, because it was almost a 5-year project, and Aero was less than a year from conception to release.
Well, you always got to make your follow-up. It's got to be much bigger.
Yeah.
You got to. You can't just,
Exactly. And that's, I think, I sometimes get frustrated by how long these projects take. But it's like, in order to do them right, we can't just go online and find the footage. We have to go in person. We have to find these people. We have to interview these people. I think that's so important to get these firsthand accounts of these stories, because this industry would not be what it is today without these amazing people.
Absolutely. I recommend everybody to go. I'm going to put the links to everything in the description. But it is so, especially if you're, those of you who are watching are big roller coaster nerds like Nick and I are, just to hear the history of, Aero, the first company to tubular steel track. And then with that, making like the first real inversions. Yes, some guys in Russia built some sort of wooden something, okay. But like the corkscrew being the first modern true, this works inversion. And then with Schwarzkopf going, okay, yeah, you got a corkscrew, but we want a vertical loop. Let's figure this vertical loop out. And they did. You know?
Yeah, and it's really amazing when you compare the lineage of Schwarzkopf, what they were doing, and Arrow, what they were doing at the same time, and they were both developing a vertical loop within the same time frame as each other, and not knowing either of them were doing it, and they both opened a vertical loop coaster within multiple weeks.
Yeah.
Revolution at Magic Mountain, the world's first, as we consider, modern vertical looping coaster. And vertical looping is key to that phrase because Corkscrew at Knott's opened the year prior to that. But that Revolution opened weeks before Arrow opened Corkscrew at Cedar Point. Yep. So it's incredible that they just barely get to claim that. But it's an amazing record to especially have in town too.
Right. And then that they were able to figure out how to do it with, I still think that I like the Schwarzkopf train design a lot better. I think that, and then, Anton himself, being very instrumental in trying to make the ride experience more comfortable for the guest, whereas Arrow's like, let's just see if we can make it.
Absolutely.
And then
Absolutely.
Working with along the lines, and then you had Stengel, who worked with Anton, just like, let's figure this out. It's so German. See, I lived in Germany for a while, so it's like I know their mindset, and just like, we must make this very comfortable. But you think about it, they build Porsche, they build Audi, they build these top end Mercedes cars. Like, no, we need to make the roller coasters feel very, very comfortable.
And it's amazing that the way that they were able to make those rides as smooth as they were.
Yeah.
They were heartlining rides before computer technology existed, before CAD existed. And Arrow didn't really start doing that until decades later. And Schwarzkopf was doing this in the 70s.
Yeah.
And, Revolution is turning 50 years old in a couple months. And it's just amazing to think how good that ride still is today.
It's one of the smoothest rides in the park.
Yeah. Yeah.
It really is.
It really speaks to to Anton's design and engineering, and that whole family. It was a whole family company that ran that. And it's really amazing that their rides still hold up as well as they do.
Everybody should go check out but all those documentaries, because they're really cool. I've watched them. Well, I haven't seen the new one yet. I still want to watch it, but it's just a really cool way to get excited, and also just to know the history of what this enthusiasm for these rides and parks and companies are, we all share. We've also so this just doesn't go down a trip of memory lane here. We wanted to talk about current things too. Well, current as of recording this, it'll be out of date soon, but it's all right. It's fun. You can go back and watch things. One of the things that we just wanted to bring up was one that there's, as of recording this, it is a Sunday, March 1st, 2026. And we just had some topics and some news that are in the industry, because it kind of feels like outside of Epic Universe opening and things like that, it just kind of feels like there's been a lot of stuff that's been planned and a lot of stuff that's kind of happening, but it hasn't happened yet. It kind of feels like we're in this weird wait and see spell. And finally, we're seeing some movement again, especially in Southern California. Fast and the Furious project has been being built for a long, long time. Not sure why it hasn't opened yet. Do you know of anything what's going on with that, or?
That's a great question. I do know, just as an enthusiast, it's a complicated ride system,
sure.
And certainly the placement of that attraction has probably created some challenges. Growing up, going there a bunch of times, I have always dreamed of a coaster being on that hillside.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and the fact that they are doing it, I still actually can't believe that they're doing it. And so I can just being involved in the industry and construction for a while, I can imagine how much of the percentage of that project was purely getting that to be in the ground from a engineered perspective. And you think earthquake code in California, it's incredible. I'm sure that's been a big hurdle for them, but seeing the ride testing and the vehicle slowly being revealed over time, it's just getting me more and more excited about what they're doing there.
Yeah, and then they also have the sound restrictions from the neighbors nearby. We're just kind of, and but some people were upset that they had to move the animal actors stage and all that sort of stuff. But I think that they're smart. We're seeing this in Universal Orlando with Islands, and now with Epic. They're still going to create live shows. I mean, they still have Waterworld that's been going on for how many years, and it's still
30 years, 30 plus years now.
And it's still, it's a great show, and it still brings in the crowds and stuff like that. I think that finally, this was the last Universal property where it's finally like, we need a big attraction. Yes, okay, Mummy, yeah, it's a good attraction. Jurassic, a lot, it's the Jurassic World now. Good attraction, but we needed a flagship. We needed like a statement, and I don't think Universal really had one.
No, and I think really Universal Hollywood in general started to change when Hogsmeade Village and the Wizarding World of Harry Potter really came to that park. And for those who haven't been to Universal Hollywood, the park is just so landlocked.
Yep.
And not only that, but the topography of the upper and lower lot and this massive bank of escalators they call the Starway is just like such a major challenge to deal with moving people around the park. And they've been slowly like shuffling the studio backlot area to expand the theme park, which is great.
Right, because it's still a working movie studio, and they've moved a lot of sound stages over to a different part of their lot. So, yeah, it's all on hills. I mean, a lot of people don't realize it's all on hills and earthquake codes and stuff like that. You're right. So, yeah, but
yeah, no, and it's the whole theme park division of Universal grew out of Universal Studios Hollywood. It grew out of bringing the studio tour back in 1964 after not having a studio tour there in quite some time. And the Jay Stein, who actually just recently passed away, was part of the development of the studio tour as far as adding the special effects events. Like back in the 70s, they had these fake rocks that would roll down the hill, or they had the Mummy Tunnel, they had the Ice Tunnel, they had Battlestar Galactica.
Didn't they have like the bridge that would... Like the fake earthquake? No, was it earthquake? No, it was just like a rickety bridge or something.
Yes, the collapsing bridge.
That's right.
It's right next to the Skull Island Reign of Kong part of the tour. It's still there. They don't operate it anymore for the tour, but the
flash flood was there for a while. Yeah.
Yep, that's still there, and the earthquake experience is still there. These are parts of the park that have been there for decades, 50 years, I think, for the flash flood now, which is incredible. And the whole Universal theme park franchise grew out of this studio tour evolving into people need to see stuff that's exciting, because they were going around a backlot that was boring. There was nothing going on. They wouldn't see anything. And so they were like, we have to create these fabricated experiences to draw people in. And then the park grew into what it is today, a true actual theme park with rides.
Right. Yeah. And that's what's something unique about Universal Hollywood, is because that backlot tour only exists there. And that's a cool draw to bring people out, because it is, and a lot of people who haven't gone to Universal Studios Hollywood, when they go for the first time, they realize how small it is. Not only is it landlocked, but it's a small park because of its landlocked. But and so I think that Universal for a while was like, we have all these rides, and they're all these screen-based rides, and the Mummy kind of showed that you can kind of do something different, and and a little bit with Transformers, moving it around, stuff like that. Used to be the backdraft there, but I think that they needed a coaster, especially with the success of the coasters that have been at Universal Studios Hollywood and Islands of Adventure, especially with Islands of Adventure, when they brought that out and were able to show, hey, look, let's build a huge B&M, coaster.
Right.
And it was very successful. And then, and then with, we were talking about Harry Potter, and then, they had Dueling Dragons, which was also really popular. But just they realized that there was something missing, and so we all wanted a coaster there, and I could see it too. I had a little different plan. I've shared this before, but I wanted them to take the Simpsons ride out, keep the show building there, and make that the station, the Simpsons ride, and then kind of do what Time Traveler does, and just have it go and have the lift hill to be
right off the edge.
Right off the edge.
Yeah.
Because you could see it, and I was like, oh, it would be long enough, it would work, and you could even make it a mock power spin. Like, why not? Call it Back to the Future, and those could be the new Back to the Future DeLorean ride vehicle thingies, and they spin, and that was my whole thing. And so I was so excited when they started building it. I said, oh, they're putting it over there. Okay, that works. And then they talked about spinning. I'm like, did I call it? I
know, right?
And
I
then,
love that idea.
But then when it became Fast and Furious, I said, that makes sense. As much as purists and fans would have liked to have seen a return to Back to the Future, I still think I'm not the biggest fan of the franchise of Fast and Furious, but I understand IP, and I work in the film industry. I understand how successful it has been for Universal, so it makes sense. And when it turned out to be Intamin, I was like, well, yeah, they've got this great working relationship with Intamin now, with Hagrid's and with Velocicoaster. They're like, this is a winning combination, so let's just bring it out. Let's bring it out there.
And it makes sense from like a synergy perspective. I think as far as like the amount of money that Fast and Furious makes for the company. Even though the film franchises don't maybe have a lot of substance to the films, they're fun, they're exciting.
Oh yeah,
and they make a lot of money. And so and you look at.
And it's recognizable IP.
It is. It's globally recognizable. It's easily, people can understand it when they see it. People can relate to it. And you think about Fast and the Furious Supercharged in Florida, maybe not the best use of the Fast and Furious franchise. So I like that they're recognizing that maybe there are some things that they need to retool and bring the franchise and give it how it should really be represented. So I'm excited to see how they're going to bring Fast and Furious to life with the coaster, because it looks like an awesome ride.
I agree, and this is somebody, I'm not a fan of Time Traveler. I understand why people like it. This is just me personally.
That's okay. That's okay.
I know, I get sick. Yeah. It spins, I'm sick. Sierra Sidewinder at Knott's, great ride, I get sick. Spider at Lagoon, I get sick.
Yeah.
So when I rode Time Traveler for the first time, I was super excited for it, and loved the first drop, stuff like that. And by the time we got to the second launch, I was like, can it be over? But my son was having a blast. Again.
Yeah.
But I still think that, I am going to ride this new Fast and the Furious Hollywood Drift coaster no matter what. But it may not be my cup of tea, but I'm still going to ride it because it looks awesome. Who knows? I could be wrong, but I'm looking at it going, man, some of those elements are going to be crazy, especially when it goes like you start going back. They're still programming.
Absolutely.
Here's a fun fact. Come a little bit closer, everybody. It's called yaw. Officially in the industry, isn't that cool? They don't call it the spin; they call it yaw, which is fun, nerdy fact.
It is, and I'm sure the yaw has been a challenge for that attraction as well. You got to imagine these vehicles are heavy.
Yep.
And I think it's 4 of them that are connected to each other, and so there's a lot of weight moving around at over 70 miles an hour through multiple launches, multiple inversions. So, I hope they're able to dial that in well, and I hope that's not a feature that they determine is too difficult to operate with long term, and they just shut it off. Because as somebody who's been part of a bunch of attractions at this point, it always sucks as somebody who's been part of the design of things and knowing what could have been, and then due to a variety of reasons they don't pan out or they don't last long after a ride opens. So I'm hoping they can get it down, because it's the way it's going under the Starway and diving through
so
these.
Cool.
It's awesome.
It's going to be a rad ride. Yes, obviously we want the yaw to work. We want the drifting to work. Maybe if they just dial it back and where it doesn't do complete 360 rotations, but it just kind of does the actual drifting effect. Cool. But from the test that I've seen it kind of go towards the thing, and then it's like backwards for a second, and then it kind of goes forwards again. And, it's neat. I think that it's just a smart idea to have the coaster be Fast and Furious, so that you can have this element. And the trains are beautiful.
They are. Oh my gosh, I want to drive one of those just home. It looks legitimately like it really pays homage to the vehicles they're basing them off of.
Yeah, I mean, they could have easily. I'm not saying that West Coast Racers cheaped out, because West Coast Racers, and they were designed by West Coast Customs, but they look nice. But this is a whole other level. They are beautiful.
They are, and I can't wait to. I'm gonna have to ride it 4 times at least, because I want to be in every vehicle. So
let's hope that opens soon. I mean, I know that they probably got a lot of theming and stuff in the queue that they need to get dialed in and stuff like that too. But I mean, we'll see. Hopefully, 2026 this year, they said it's going to open. So
I think summer they're saying. So, and I'm curious, as far as, since you brought up theming, I'm curious what the story of the attraction is. I'm sure it's not a very in-depth story, but it's obvious as a guest going to the park that it is a roller coaster with cars on it. Yep. So, is the story related to the fact that is the family from Fast and the Furious? Did they? I was
gonna say it's called Family.
Yeah,
Family is the theme.
Did they open a coaster that is based on the world where they're driving in? Is like think about Incredicoaster, where the fact that it's a coaster is part of the story of Jack, and you're trying to get him, and he's wreaking havoc on the grand opening of this coaster that's themed after the Incredibles. Or is the fact that you're on a coaster track not something you're supposed to see and is not part of the story? So I'm just very curious what the story of that attraction is.
That's a good point. I could see, I'm almost gonna see that it's gonna be opposite. I don't think they're gonna call it like hey, yo, this is Dom. You got to get on this coaster to help us stop this crime.
I agree.
I don't think that's what's going to be. I think that it will probably involve some sort of story where I could see it to be where it's not Fast and the Furious at the beginning, where you're at maybe some sort of test facility trying to. This is Universal 101. I swear they always do this.
Yeah,
but like
yeah,
you're helping out or something with that,
Sure,
and then at some point along the way, kind of you'll think of like how Supercharged is, and kind of our version, which was part of the studio tour. It was kind of like that. Like you just happen to be along for the ride during some sort of like chase and like and we just happen to be in the middle of it. I think that's probably they may continue with that. Maybe we just are observing an illegal underground street race, and then we get caught up with the crew of the films.
Yeah.
And then we ride along with them or something like that. Do you think there's going to be some screens involved in the queue and the station?
That's a good question. I'm just very curious to see what they're going to do with the theme of it. I don't know if they have a pre-show that's involved in the attraction. I'm personally a big fan of pre-shows.
Yeah.
I think they really can help develop a story. They can also, there have been bad pre-shows I've been part of as well. So they're not always a good thing. They're not always a good thing. And sometimes if they're bad, you really want to skip it, and you often can't ride a ride without going through a pre-show.
Justice League Magic Mountain.
Yeah, that's a great example of that. Yeah. Oh no.
We can skip it now.
Yeah, you can, thankfully now. Yeah, in fact, that ride needs some help.
It does need some love. I mean, a lot of stuff at Magic. That's probably our next topic. But yeah, Fast and Furious, super excited for it. Let's make that the next topic. Magic Mountain. Obviously we live just down the street. I live pretty close to, and there's a part of it that's obviously it's our park, and does it need a lot of help? Yeah, especially when you go to Universal's or you go to like Dollywood or Silver Dollar City, and you just kind of see what it could be. Yeah. I've known that it's never been a Disneyland. It's not going to be a Disneyland. Disneyland is on a different level because of money and that kind of thing. But you just go, man, what could be? Because you could see some Cedar Fair parks, and some Cedar Fair parks back. Obviously, they're all the same company now. But
yep.
And you go, just a little bit more effort. It could be so great, but we still love it, and I still like defend. Like people like start making fun of the park and go, shut up.
Yeah. Thank you. I agree.
But But that doesn't mean it's almost like us enthusiasts are the only ones that are allowed to make fun of it, because we know, because we'll look at the cracked concrete and we're like, just put some pavers here.
I know. Well, and we'll see stuff like that. We'll know like what day it cracked too. Like the amount of times we go to these parks. That's been there since March 12th, 2018.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I have seen, and I don't know if you've seen it too, but I definitely have seen improvements since the merger has happened. Really, really have. Small things like, they painted the big sign. Maybe not the colors I wish I could have, but it still was painted, and they minimized it to just say Magic Mountain, which is cool. And then you start looking at they've replaced all the garbage cans, big whoop. But it's small little things like that. Now all the garbage cans are brand new, and they're kind of a throwback, and they just say Magic Mountain. It's small stuff like that. And plants. There was that big planter where they used to put the over there by DC Universe, where they used to put the Christmas tree, and they no longer put it there, which I'm grateful for, because it would block the view.
Exactly.
But now they've put some plants and some flowers, and it's like, it's getting there. What have you noticed, and what have you seen?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think it's heading in the right direction after years of neglect. I would say in the areas they should have not let be neglected for so long. I mean, you think back 20 years ago, 2006, I believe they were considering selling the park outright.
Yep.
During one of the however many bankruptcies the company has gone through at this point. But yeah, I mean, like the sign, like you mentioned, by the freeway, not only has it been like repainted and refreshed, but it like pays homage to the OG logo of the park, and so. Same with the trash cans. It's the same OG logo. And so, like, you can tell that there are people within the company that are paying attention to the history of where these parks have come from. I mean, Magic Mountain is 55 years old this year, and there's a lot of history there. And you look back at what the park looked like when it first opened, and it's like they need to bring a lot of that back. Food quality, landscaping, things that are not just rides. I mean, you think about Jim Reed Anderson, who used to be the chairman and CEO of Six Flags, where their mantra at the time was new ride, every park, every year. Yeah. And from a business perspective, that does not seem very sustainable to me.
It seems very short term, like, there's going to be a new ride, And well, what got pushed, what got shuffled to the side so that could happen? Exactly. And unfortunately, it was kinetics and landscaping and maintenance of the park. So I mean, I saw a big difference when it was approved for the solar project. And
yeah, that's a big deal.
And so I was like, well, in my mind, I'm just thinking logistically. I'm like, okay, if you're going to put this massive solar project over almost the entire parking lot, you're going to have to repave that parking lot, because that parking lot was bad. I mean, how many cracked rims and pop tires?
Yeah.
It was awful. And so I was like, whoa, they're going to have to do that. And sure enough, they started doing it. And then at first they just were like, oh, we're just going to lay a layer of slurry down. It'll be kind of a crappy job. But then they kind of redid it again. And I was like, whoa, they actually are. And then they paved that whole back.
Yes.
Which I didn't see coming. I did not. They actually paved the overflow lot, which blew my mind, because there was no reason to do that. They're like, it's overflow. You can keep it dirt. I mean, the overflow is still dirt.
Yeah.
But that whole section there, I mean, that was pretty cool. So that really gave me hope. And then building the new fence when you walk in.
Yes.
That's thank you, And so I'm whereas I used to just kind of go, yeah, they'll never do it. Now I'm kind of going, well, wait a minute. Now this whole thing that they did with Hurricane Harbor,
yep,
they spent
gorgeous,
tons of money there, and you can see it, and it looks great. And hopefully there'll be a new slide coming soon. They took one out, and
right.
I think there should be a new slide coming in there. But I mean, just making new cabanas and creating an experience where you could rent cabanas and have food service come to the cabanas, and repainting things and regelling and all the slides. It's just like, wow, is this a sign of things to come in the park? And now look what they're doing with Looney Tunes Land.
Yeah, that was really, I think, came out of left field for anybody who has seen that announcement. And they've been they've talked about a new coaster that's coming, but there's really not been a lot that's been announced about it. And seemingly, I think it's pushed out till next year at this point.
Probably.
But it's nice that they've taken the opportunity to still do something this year. And I think it's really important to point out that the park is taking the opportunity to take care of areas that have been in the park for a long time and finding ways to better utilize their brands and their characters. And so they're kind of unifying Looney Tunes Land, I believe, under 4 different characters within Looney
that's
Tunes.
what I think. Yeah.
So
and just it'll make it fresh and new, and I think that comes a lot from the Cedar Point merger, because Cedar Point was doing that, they did that at Kings Island, and that started winning awards. And then they just recently, with Knott's Berry Farm, they redid that whole Camp Snoopy area, and I think that they were really saying, hey, this is one of our flagship parks. And not that the Looney Tunes Land looked bad as it was currently, not really. Not a lot of shade, but I just like that they're doing it. And maybe they're doing it as a way to say, we're sorry that this coast... What happened? Oh, I accidentally hit... This is why we test things out, everybody. This is human. I accidentally hit a button for a camera that it's not on right now. Anyway, I was going to say that people thought it was as an apology,
right,
for the new coaster. That I guess, I mean, I'm not worried about getting in trouble with the park. Clearly, it's a Vekoma. We've seen the track. Okay, it's a Vekoma. It's beautiful. It's blue.
Yeah,
it's like a cyan blue. The supports just started getting delivered the last few weeks. I've personally been out there. If you check out my Instagram, you'll see, and they're like a gunmetal gray. Really, really, really pretty, and they're chonky.
Yeah.
I mean, track pieces and support pieces are always big, but I don't know. They're bigger than I thought that they were going to be. And so this new ride, which, will probably open in 2027, is cool. And I'm grateful for where it's going. That Golden Bear Theater was also very, very historic. They haven't named the ride yet. I would like it to have maybe been, because there's rumored to be, you're riding on a bike underneath like a Batman inverted coaster, but you're going to be sitting. It's not 100% Tron, but Tron-esque. Where you're sitting on a bike, and I was like, well, it's on that hill there. Wouldn't it be cool if it was like mountain bike themed, and then they could call it maybe Golden Bear Mountain to kind of be like, to pay homage to the Golden Bear Theater. Maybe, I mean, if you guys listening, maybe you can still call it that. Because, I mean, it does have something to do with bikes, because they keep saying cycling in, And so the teaser, so I don't know. I don't have any inside knowledge what the name is. I'm just saying, to me, calling it something Golden Bear Theater to kind of keep it homage to what that but that theater that's been there since the park's inception. And so, it was just kind of a cool way. But yeah, I mean, what do you think about it? And I know it's a prototype, right? It's a prototype coaster.
That's what it seems to be. Yeah.
Magic Mountain does a lot of prototypes.
They do, and I think that's worth pointing out because the park has certainly taken many risks over the years. Yeah. And I think risks can often give you great rewards. And you look at X, and there were a lot of challenges with X, including bankrupting Aerodynamics building the ride. But Six Flags realized that it was still, they had to finish it. They could have just walked away and said, we're going to scrap this thing as is, and we're not going to finish it. But they finished that project, and they've had challenges, and it became X2 later on, and it's improved a lot. But I love that the park has a history with prototypical attractions, and they're not afraid to try things that may not work out. And so I'm excited for a new experience, and to have it in our backyard is really exciting. And the theater was an icon of the park. You think every band in the 70s and 80s played at Magic Mountain, and it's I think it's going to be a great use of that land. And I'm just very excited to see how they theme out the ride, how they add vegetation. I hope it's not like what Ninja has become, where after they took out a lot of the trees. Yeah. And I loved how you flew through the trees on Ninja. And so I hope that they have thought about that aspect of the attraction, and that it doesn't feel like a parking lot coaster but on a hill. Please make the auditorium seating, please make it a waterfall. yeah, exactly. I know. I shouldn't say it's easy. But it's a concept that would be. When I say easy, all the engineers are going to yell at me like, "Do you know how hard it is to pump water?" And yes, I understand that, but I mean, you've got that infrastructure that's already there. It's already there. So, do you want to spend all this time demoing it so it's not there, and you could put plants? No, well, it's already kind of a retaining wall. It's already holding up probably a lot of that mountain. Yeah, I would think so. And so, please don't just let it sit there like what you do with some other projects. That would be so sad. It's just going to sit there. I know. I mean, think about when you ride Twisted Colossus, and, there's been a coaster in that spot for almost 50 years as well. And there are still parking lot stripes that have been there since 77, the last time somebody parked an actual car there. Yeah. And so, I hope they find a way to integrate that former seating some way that it is not a deterrent or an eyesore, because then it's just going to come across as lazy. And I think they can be really creative, like you said, a waterfall or something. They can do something with that. Don't just leave it there. Yeah, even if it was like a lighting package, just a bunch of lights along it, and maybe some plants to kind of hide the cement part of it from off-ride. Yep. And, that'd be pretty cool. I'm still as excited because it's on the hill, and, I think I've shared this with you before, that ride vehicle concept would still be very interesting even if it was on flat ground. But now, because it's on a mountain, sitting on a bike underneath, with nothing underneath you, going down a hillside and going up a hillside is going to feel very interesting visually, on a slope, and going up a slope. I think that's going to be a fun aspect of this. And it's supposed to be invert multiple times, which is the first time a straddle type of coaster has done that. Am I right? I think maybe. Because I don't think Zocon inverts. No. None of the ones at the Seas parks do, like the Arctic Rescues. No, none of those do. So I think you might be onto something there. That could be also a really cool aspect of this. How's that, like the heart lining designing into that because of the way you're sitting, the way you're, you know what I mean? Yeah. Very. Hadn't thought of that. Kind of cool, right? It is. How's that going to feel? I mean, I'm not a huge mountain biker, so I've never, done a backflip or anything like that on a bike. Me neither. So maybe there's some people out there who are like, no, I don't know exactly how it feels, but I think it'll be neat. Yeah, so and I think it makes me think of Tatsu, because Tatsu was the first B&M flying coaster I ever did, which I feel like I shouldn't take for granted, because it's still to me the best one that I've ever been on. Yeah. When I ride the other ones, like any of the Supermans, they feel just like, I don't know, after going on Tatsu, which is so big and on the mountain, and like that pretzel loop, it's like is the finale of the ride. Yeah. Where on all these other rides, it's first. It's first. It's very anticlimactic, I found, after having ridden Tatsu, many more times before I've ridden any of the others. So, it's like they proof of concepted with Tatsu, and then they're like, let's
scale it down, please.
Right? Yeah, I know. And again, that was another like thinking how much that cost for Six Flags to put in. And that was again the year they were considering selling the park. So they have a history of trying things big, and maybe they're not going to have the most coasters in the world. That's okay. That doesn't, they hit 20 before anybody else did in the history of the industry.
Yeah.
They are taking a couple of coasters out in Looney Tunes land based on the renderings that have been released.
And one's already gone.
And the one's already gone.
Yeah.
Superman's since closed. But, I think I'm much more about quality over quantity kind of person. And if they can focus on improving the overall guest experience and not just putting in new rides, like new bathrooms, they've been doing new bathrooms.
That's right. And the bathrooms are nice. They're not like, what's the word I'm looking for? Extravagant, but they are functional and they're clean. And you're like, oh, this is nice.
Yeah, and I've been asking for that for years. And food quality, they're improving. They have an executive chef now at the park, and I've seen them doing they're doing hand-breaded chicken tenders, and the quality of burger meat's improved. And I'm starting to see little things happen, not just ride-related.
And all their food events too. You
yes.
know, they're trying out different things. Look, we can make good food. You know what I mean?
So it's exciting to see, and it's not going to be happen in.
It doesn't happen overnight.
No, but they're obviously thinking about it, and as long as they keep thinking about it, it's going to be a much better park overall.
Right. Yes. I like that point that you made about let's not worry about having the most anymore. Because people will still think they have the most no matter what. They've already kind of got that marketing. Yep. I mean, they still announce in the queue of Full Throttle the world's tallest loop. It's like what had that for 2 months.
Yeah, exactly. It's not even that anymore. I know. I call that out too.
So
yeah.
But people will still kind of think that. So that's not really a draw to the park anymore because people, like I said, I'm repeating myself, but people will already think that. So I think that's right. Like, take a step back. Let's. Yeah, we're grateful for new rides. Obviously, us coaster enthusiasts are like, great, this is cool, and especially with a prototype ride. And a lot of times people are like, this is their first Vekoma. I'm like, really? This will be their third Vekoma.
Thank you. Well, so since we're talking about how the park has evolved over the years, I'm curious what your thoughts are on what they should do to Samurai Summit, because with Superman now closed, and Ninja, which sporadically operates, and the Sky Tower still unfortunately not opening, I could see them deciding to just you know what, we're just going to close the top of the mountain and we're just not going to deal with it anymore. We're just going to Ninja's the only thing that operates up there. We're just going to shut that rolled ride down and we're just going to close the whole top of the park and call it a day. I hope that doesn't happen, but I'm curious what your thoughts are on what they should do up there.
That's interesting. From a business decision, I can see that happening. It would be really easy for them to do. I mean, they've already done it with the Laughing Dragon old pizza place that's just been sitting there doing nothing.
Yep.
With the Sky Tower that's been sitting there for a very, very long time. Now, I have ideas, but I'm just I don't work for the company. I don't know their budgets. I don't know what their fiscal income. I don't know any of that stuff. So a lot of my stuff is pie in the sky. But I'm also kind of a realist too. So I'm not crazy. I'm like, they're gonna build a giga up there.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Bring back the Eagles flight but this is what I'm thinking. Ninja, I would love to see get some more love. That Q station is one ember away from a nearby wildfire from going up in flames. I mean, I'm worried about sneezing around that to kind of catch it on fire. Whether or not they do a nice, I wouldn't even call it a remodel, what would you call it? A restoration of the pagoda type of feeling is one thing. It would be great if they did. Again, that's the pie in the sky in me, thinking if they put the new wood shingle roof in there, but made it so it wasn't wood, it was maybe some sort of vinyl laminate so that it would be, weatherproofed a little bit better, but it'd still have a wood look, and, clean it up a little bit, repaint those cool classic paintings that are in there. I've always thought, okay, I understood where they cut, a tree fell down onto the track and it caused some time. But what bamboo is a fast growing, it's technically a grass, right?
Yeah.
And you could still have that same effect by planting a lot of bamboo everywhere. And isn't that kind of the whole, they wanted, you're flying like a ninja and then it's through the trees. No, I've seen enough samurai. Well, samurai's not Japan, but no, it is Japan. Yeah, I've seen enough movies to know that they fly around through bamboo. Grow some bamboo. We got bamboo in the Goliath queue. Yeah. And bamboo is cheap. It grows fast. It's sustainable. The only thing you'd have to do is maintain it so that it doesn't get to a point where it's dangerous. And maybe that's where it gets too expensive because no, we're going to have to constantly constantly have somebody out there and cutting it and blah, 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 making sure that the envelope is, safe. Maybe, but I would love to see them just plant bamboo all over that hillside, and you could still bring back that really cool effect of the ride, because the ride's still pretty great. It's still pretty smooth for what it is. Ninja. That's my idea. Whether they do it, don't know. And then my idea for Sky Tower, and this is pie in the sky. I know that it's just not cost effective to fix the elevators. That is just a lot of red tape bureaucracy with California, OSHA, and all this different stuff. Because the elevator does work, it does operate, and by all standards, anywhere else in the United States, it would be operating. But I get it. I mean, I want safety as well, But we have roller coasters that drop off of. I mean, whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
But
So true.
my idea would be, make it an upcharge attraction. They've already got upcharge attractions there, which I think they should not have the go-karts be upcharged. Personally, I get why the Sky Coaster is. I get it, but I think if you made it an upcharge attraction, you sign a waiver, and then you let people walk the stairs, not the elevator, but you let people walk the stairs. And the liability waiver says something like, we're not responsible if you get heat stroke or if you get scared and need someone to come rescue you, that type of thing. I'm fine, cool. And then you make some money off of people wanting to go up there. And I think that would be a very, very easy fix. And I think people would pay to do it. I really do.
Yeah.
Because it's a unique view. Not a lot of these new up and coming enthusiasts, I'm not a spring chicken and you're not a spring chicken, but a lot of people who are coming and who are now enthusiasts have never been.
I know.
It's been closed longer than they've been enthusiasts.
I know.
So I think some would like to go up there. And I know that they made a little museum up there and stuff like that. I think it could work. I think if you limited the number of guests that could go, at a time, or maybe even during a day, like we only give out 20 vouchers a day or something like that. Charge, I don't know, $30 or something to climb up there.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe not 30, but you know what I mean? Like, I think people would do it. I really, really, really do.
Yeah, no, and that's a unique idea because I hadn't thought of that myself or heard anybody else kind of recommend that. I think they need to find. I would love to see the numbers first of all as to what it's going to take to actually reopen it as an elevator.
Yeah.
Like, is it a number that is truly something that is viable, or is it a number that they just don't want to invest in? I'd love to be able to make my own assessment on that based on that number.
And especially since you have the engineering background, that you would kind of know, because I think it's more than just. I think there's a lot involved, a lot of retrofitting involved, a lot.
I think so, and that's been there since the park opened as well. And so, but it's also a shame to have such an icon of the park as part of the skyline, and it's even in new age merchandise that they're selling. It's part. So if I was trying to market the park, like if I was working there, I would not want to use the image of that as part of any marketing or branding, because it's not an experience. It's not accessible as a guest anymore. So I think that they need to find a way to open it as soon as they can in whatever fashion it is, whether it's the walking up experience you're recommending or just putting the money, biting the bullet, and reopening that attraction, because it's a shame to have such an icon of that park not be something you can experience anymore for over a decade now.
Do you know how many elevators it has? Did it have like 3?
At least two. I think 2 is probably how many it has.
Okay.
But I would love to also see them not just make it a VIP lounge or a pass holder lounge, because we know the park has tried some of that in the past, and that's been a bit rocky as well. But it's like, it should be open to everybody. It shouldn't require a fee. If they can actually get it working mechanically safely to code, it should be available to all. And they could do a bar up there. They could do the museum aspect. They could monetize it in another way, but that view should be free.
Yeah. I mean, I know it's 2 levels, so at least have one of them be free, like observation. And if they wanted to do something premium or whatever, make it the other level or something like that. Yeah. And because the reason why I started thinking about the upcharge attraction is because they do events there that like, I know recently they had like the firefighters versus sheriff's deputies or whatever it was.
That's right.
And they raced up it. And I go, okay, so clearly it's not that. And then back during one of these old ACE events that I went to, where I can't remember who. It wasn't Neil Thurman. There was somebody that was there, and it was asked, like, what's up with Sky Tower?
I think it was Jeff.
Might have been. And they said it's not unsafe. Like, there's nothing unsafe about being up there. Like, it's completely fine. Like, it's not dangerous. Like, they had to close it down because, the floor was caving in.
Right.
No, it's just, it has 100% to do with just the elevator technologies that, for seismic or who knows, whatever reasons. But the fact that they had these races, like I think it was like nurses versus dispatchers or something.
Yeah.
And they go and they went all the way up there for charity, which is cool. And I go, okay, that's great. So that means you can still go up there. The stairs are perfectly working order.
Yep.
Obviously it would be scary to walk up the stairs. It would, but that's why you sign a liability waiver. And that liability waiver is going to save the park any sort of lawsuits.
Yep.
Especially if you go to ZipRecruiter.com and have that. I'm saying, like, you could easily draft up something that would be rock solid to be like, or maybe there's days where it's like, if it's over 100 degrees, we're not going to let anybody up there so you don't pass out.
Yep.
I think they could do it. I think it would be great. So that's my other idea for that. And now here comes my other wild and crazy thinking, because then you have that massive plot of Superman.
Yes.
It's just huge. And I don't think that they're going to take the infrastructure out, because that means you're going to get rid of Lex Luthor as well. And I don't think that they want to lose another Dark Ride. And again, I'm not a structural engineer, but I don't think they can just shear off that little, thing and then just have the standalone tower, because I think that's supporting it.
I think the ramp has to,
yes, I still think it has to be there. And plus, demolition isn't free, everybody. Demolition costs millions of dollars,
yes,
okay? Holloway, anyway. But here's the cool thing. That infrastructure and that track system is so rock solid, and they went so deep into the mountain with their foundations and everything like that. Who's to say you can't build track on top of track? Of course you can.
Absolutely you can.
Why wouldn't you be able to? And it's made by Intamin, and it's all kind of I-beam flat kind of track, which you could easily look at what they did with Steel Curtain, right? When Steel Curtain needed to have some retrofits and stuff like that,
right,
to make it structurally more sound, they went in and they figured it out, and without having to demo anything, they added more structure to it.
Exactly.
To keep it safe. It was done. It looks crazy, but it's now safe and can ride, and it's great. There's nothing stopping Intamin or another ride manufacturer. But
yep, sure.
Sure. This is my pie in the sky. Intamin from building track on top of track. I think another roller coaster could be built on that plot of land and use that support structure. It wouldn't have to be limited to that narrow. It could go around it or up, but it could go there. You could easily is the wrong word. Sorry. I shouldn't use those types of words. Again. But track could be implemented, especially with LSM, because that was an LIM technology.
Yep.
With LSMs being much more efficient, with less moving parts and, much more efficient, a manufacturer could, and a designer could build something that goes up, maybe has some sort of top hat, comes back down. And I even have more of a pie in the sky. You've also, on the opposite end, what are those two? What we were just talking about it. We had two huge towers that are basically facing each other. We've got the Sky Tower, and we've got.
Oh, I like where this is going.
You've got Superman. They were both built by whom? Intamin. And they're both looking at each other. Who's to say that Sky Tower, which is nice and rooted and strong, couldn't have something retrofitted on the side of it as well? Think along the lines of Top Thrill 2.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Something similar to that. You could build track. I keep saying you. A manufacturer could build track. I'm going to get visual here. Say this is the Sky Tower. You could hook track on, so it's like kind of the Sky Tower's. The track's bolted to the side of it.
That'll be like
so it's like a
spike or something.
So it's like a massive so that becomes like a massive support, and then you could reverse spike onto that, and you wouldn't need. I mean, the Sky Tower's already there.
Yeah.
So think of the cost savings of not having to build a massive support structure. It's already there. Just Lego it to the side.
Or even
Oh, twisting around it would be cool. What, Six Flags Great Adventure?
Exactly.
But,
Yeah,
I'd always thought it would be interesting. Now, I didn't know how to make it work technically, but if they'd kept the ride vehicles from Superman, have the right side go somehow with a switch track or something, go up forwards, switch track, go down the other side backwards, or vice versa. Start off backwards
and then go down
switch
forwards.
track, go down forwards, and then you could have it huge bunny hill over the station.
Yep.
Do it inversion, wave turn, whatever.
Yep.
Come down up a spike from the sky tower, or maybe a huge wave turn, a huge turn like a huge hammerhead.
Yeah.
Come around and come back into the station.
Oh yeah.
So maybe it's not a shuttle coaster. Maybe it still is a full circuit, so you could have a higher throughput.
Yeah, I like that.
I mean, it's a pie in the sky, but now that we're looking at things like Top Thrill 2 that is built, this, speaking of Great Adventure, whatever they're building there seems to me. Okay, so with Mach, clearly it's a Mach. it's gonna be a Mach.
Yep.
And it's purple. It's cool.
It is.
For a long time, people said, okay, that survey, it's going to go up a tower and then it's going to come back down.
Right.
Until, and I think it was El Toro Ryan who posted this picture. I don't know if you've seen it or not, Nick. Also, maybe I can pull it up and pull it up on the screen here. But it is they posted a picture of a very tight track piece that was delivered. That is like clearly too tight to be an airtime hill or a turn. It is, and I'm going to pull it up.
Interesting.
Talks amongst yourselves while I find this photo. Let's bring up another topic real quick while I find this photo.
And then just cut for a sec. We're almost out of time.
We're almost out of time?
Yeah. So
I don't have to go. Oh, it's 5:00. So I'm not cutting anything. This is all going to stay.
Yes!
Because you know what? People tell me if I'm wrong. I think people like the human element of shows. They like seeing mistakes. They kind of like seeing errors because I think it brings them to, it kind of makes you feel like, it's not like big showy and big production. I think.
I mean, it's more human. It's more organic. Yeah. This is a real.
Exactly.
I mean, we're having a conversation here. It's supposed to be.
Okay, let's rapid fire some of these last topics we're going to talk about. I heard that they were going to there's been photos of. Maybe I can add this all in post production. Maybe I should. I'm so lazy, everybody. I hate editing.
I love editing. Thankfully.
I mean, that's why I became a little inside baseball for me. I'm what's known as a post production supervisor. I'm the producer. I'm in charge of post production for television and film. I hire editors. And I go, do this, and I'll pay you for it. Only because I know how to edit. I just don't have patience. And so, it's like I always find somebody like Nick who knows how to edit and is really good and is very efficient. I'd rather pay you to do it rather than do it myself. And then I take all the credit, which is what every producer in Hollywood does.
Of course, yeah.
For those of you who don't know what an executive producer does in television and film, they just hire all the talent and then take all the credit. And during the Oscars, and thanks everybody. I was the one who hired Steven Spielberg. Anyway, I was just going to say, I'll show you this picture. How about here it is in post, right there. There's this picture of the track piece from. I'm telling you, it's really. It's like that.
That's interesting.
Where you kind of go, where would that go? Where would that go? And then some people started saying, "Oh, Jojo Roll," and go, "No. It's an arc." And the first place my mind went was Top Hat. The crown of a top hat.
That's what I would think.
And so I'm like, okay, so maybe it will be sort of a spiritual successor for King Ka.
That's seemingly possible.
Anyway, I know we'd also talked about quickly. We'll put it right here, right above Nick, right there. The comfort collarless electric eel.
Yeah.
It's really neat that Premier Rides, these Skyrocket 2s have been doing this. What was it Tempesto or was it Superman at Discovery Kingdom was the first one that didn't have?
Superman was the original Skyrocket 2 ever.
Okay.
It was also the first media day for a coaster I ever went to.
Oh,
So
cool. There
it was
you go.
Really exciting to be there for the very first one of those. That ride still has no comfort collars. It never had them. And when it opened, it also had no seatbelts. It had lap bar only.
Love it.
Yeah, it was amazing. It was amazing. I really love those rides.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's so exciting that they're taking comfort collars off a lot of these rides. Like it happened at Icebreaker in SeaWorld Orlando. They took it off of that as well. So they're obviously not comfortable, even though they're called that. So it's nice to get rid of them.
Yeah, and it wasn't the reason why they built them is just so that in the places that require a secondary like seatbelt check, that this kind of satisfied the safety regulations where you didn't have to do a secondary check. Is that what they were created?
I think there's some part of it that's that. I also had heard something about like the intention is that it provides a guest more comfort in the sense that you feel safer in the ride, but not from a comfortability perspective.
I see.
But I think it also is related to what you're saying about a safety check type thing.
Yeah.
But I've never been a fan of how they rattle around your shoulder. I mean, they're much better than a shoulder harness like on an old Arrow for sure.
Yeah.
But it's great that they're taking rid of them.
Yeah, I just thought it was really cumbersome. I've never really liked the Premier trains all that much anyway because they're really hard to get into. But once you are in them though, they're comfortable once you are in them.
Yes.
But it was always just so uncomfortable with that comfort collar being there, like especially when you're trying to get in and out because it's like you're hitting it and you're like, oh, what do I need to do? But that's interesting. You say it's almost like a security blanket, like in every film ever. They always just, after some sort of traumatic event, they wrap a blanket around you. It's like, why do we have a blanket?
Yeah, exactly.
It's psychological.
It is.
That's
Absolutely.
Very interesting. What else is there? I know that Nick had on his phone had written down some topics.
Well, there's Galactic Coaster.
Oh, that's right.
There's Galactic Coaster.
Galactic Coaster. So these are at Legoland in Florida and in California. And the one in Florida just opened. I think it's getting some cool reviews. Was it Art of Engineering?
Art Engineering, yeah.
Oh, Art Engineering, yeah.
Yeah.
That's so cool. And they're not up and coming, but they're up and coming is the wrong word. They are getting a lot more opportunity to create rides, which I really like.
Yes, it's really exciting to see them become a bigger name within the industry, at least from a lot more coasters that they're being part of. And from what I've seen, they seem to have spent a lot of money investing in this attraction, and Merlin has not always gotten the best rap over the past couple decades as far as them spending the right money in the right places, and they've cheaped out on a lot of attractions. So like the deep sea submarine attraction they did there is fantastic. They spent a lot of money, and in fact, I think that was the most expensive Legoland attraction to date. And seeing just what I've seen from the pre-show of this attraction, they have a really cool animatronic figure, and it's a continuous loading station with a conveyor belt like Forbidden Journey. And I've not watched the POV. I don't want to spoil it for myself.
Yeah, I haven't seen one either. I've seen the queue, but I haven't seen the ride itself.
Same, and it looks to be another level up as far as quality, and I'm really excited about it. They haven't had a coaster added to that park in 22 years. So.
Right. And the success of the little coasters that have been at the Legolands in Europe, like the Germany one that has the world's smallest wing coaster. And
yes.
And then I think it's the one in England has a little coaster too, if I remember. I could be wrong, but it's nice to see Art of Engineering. And for those who don't know, I think I keep calling it Art of Engineering. Art Engineering.
It's easy to do.
They did most recently the what's it called? The one at Lagoon, the mountain.
Primordial.
That's right.
Yeah.
So and they also helped out with Cannibal there too.
Yeah,
correct?
And I believe Bombora was I think the first one they did with Lagoon specifically. Yeah.
So it's cool to see like this company and that wasn't them that did Donkey Kong Coaster. No, that's somebody else.
It's Set Point, I believe, also out of Utah.
Yeah, they're all out of Utah.
What's
up with all these cool coaster manufacturers being out of Utah? It's very,
so true.
very interesting. But it's for the California. We'll call this the California blog right now. There's a lot of cool stuff happening here. We've got the Legoland Galactic Coaster opening at Legoland. California down there in Carlsbad, probably you said within like a week or so.
Yeah, I think March 6th it's opening.
Nice. So. And then we've got our whatever mountain bike coaster that I want it to be coming soon, and at Magic Mountain. I don't know if it's going to be a mountain bike, but I want it to be a mountain bike.
Yeah.
But and then Fast and Furious, Hollywood Drift, which is under getting a clone in Florida, which is kind of it's interesting now that we've got a clone with the Legoland ones and now the Hollywood Drift.
It's interesting. Or at least the name is the same. I'm guessing the ride's going to be fairly different based on just topography and how the park is.
That's right, and also it talks about that it has a reverse spike, and I remember seeing the leaked photo for the one here had a spike on it.
Yes, it did.
And nobody has, at least not until this moment right now, has anyone been like, well, we've already seen the concept for that.
Right. Yeah, I haven't seen people calling that out either. I think it's kind of people have forgotten about it. But, I'm excited to see that. I'm not sure how the name makes sense as far as it's kind of in New York area part of the park, and it's called Hollywood Drift. We'll see how that pans out. But I'm
sure they'll figure it out.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it'll be better than Supercharged.
Yes, yeah. So and that's a big plot of land that they can do something with soon too.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I would have liked to see a Ghostbusters, like a lot of people would like to see a Ghostbusters or something like that. But I think it makes sense. Again, like we were talking about how I wanted the coaster to be Back to the Future, but whatever. It's Fast and Furious. It makes sense. Maybe they'll update Escape from New York and like talk about the ride or something like that. Jimmy Fallon will be like, well, if you want to go escape to Hollywood. Right, but anyway, let's wrap this up because Homeboy's got to go. He's got a heart out, as we say in the industry, a heart out. Thanks so much, Nick, for coming. Awesome to have you. Thank you for being my helper today to kind of dial everything in. And guys, please let us know in the comments. Is the lighting? I know it's was kind of quick and dirty. Does the lighting look okay? Does the audio sound okay? Does Nick look okay? It is the round table. Nick can affirm that the table is round. It is here.
It is.
He chose to sit I'm talking to him directly this way. So on camera, you see he's kind of facing me. If he was looking at the other person, like if there was someone here, you'd see them, and he would look like that. So, and if there was somebody sitting there, I would look like this. Still kind of playing around with the placement of the cameras. Just let us know. I would be happy to dial anything in. If you love it, if you hate it, if everything's good, if you don't even care what it looks like, you just want to hear what we have to talk about, chime in. And with Nick, I'm going to put all your social medias and everything like that in the comment section below. Any last words that you'd like to promote or say?
Thanks for having me as well. It's been fun to watch the studio evolve into what it is today, and being part of some of your earlier shows years ago, and it's great to continue that relationship, and I'm excited to talk theme parks all the time. So whenever you want people, I'm here for you. Yeah, and I think I would love, because we are neighbors, I think you might be seeing a lot more of Nick just because he's a good dude, he's a great person, and we're neighbors, and love to have him be a regular. For sure. And I'd love to get a lot of the crew that were involved in your films here, sit down, we could talk about it and dedicate a whole episode to just that. I think that'd be awesome. There's so many stories you can't even imagine. It's so hard to say all the best. They always come to me at the wrong moment. It's like, I should have talked about that. So I'd love to talk more about those projects. And stay tuned, everybody, because I actually am going to George Lucas the crap out of my old episodes from the other channel. I'm going to actually re-edit them, make them special editions, and put them on this channel eventually too. So that'll be on a separate area. So keep an eye out for that as well. And until then, thank you for joining me on behalf of Nicholas Laschkewitsch. Am I saying your last name properly? Laschkewitsch. I think I want to go Fievel. Too much Fievel Mouskewitsch. I know. I'm so sorry. It's too many unnecessary. You probably heard that a million times your whole life. The American Tale. Used to it. But anyway, on behalf of my good friend Nicholas and me, the ambassador, everybody ride together. Let's go!